One of the biggest questions we get from prospective clients or people who have WordPress websites is how do we manage the search engine optimization, the website quality, the broken links, and all of the quality measures that are necessary to rank highly on Google or to otherwise make sure the website's actually progressing. I'm going to give you a demonstration today. I'm not going to have my face on here because I think you really need to focus specifically on the WordPress console. It is possible with the right plugins, and we'll describe those plugins today, to manage everything about your WordPress site from one location. Now, we have staff at a variety of skill levels, and they have accounts on the client systems. This actually is the back end to our main website and our network of content. So again, we're not going to be showing any client sites here. So the traffic levels are unimpressive. The conversion rates are probably unimpressive because we're a service agency that handles the marketing backend, the editorial backend, and the operational efficiency of websites hosted on WordPress. Now, we do other stuff for businesses and we help them with their sales and marketing, but essentially this element of the business needs to be so refined, so easy to use that we don't require a bunch of extra licenses anywhere, because especially our mid-sized clients want ease of use, ease of management, and then when we train their team, they need to be able to go in and implement right away. Now, I'm in a position right now where I can share with you some of the back-end systems without revealing any client information. And I've kind of set up my screen here. And I'm going to walk through what I'm going to show you and the benefits of how we're set up. So the first one is the JWH Consolidated. So it's jwhco.com. And this is the back-end, which includes MonsterInsights and AIO SEO. Those two integrate with each other. We'll talk to you about why that's important. The biggest challenge I had as a website manager for this particular site is that it's our corporate site, and we tend to get leads and we tend to get sales, first interactions, not necessarily product sales, but we get sales through this site infrequently. So in this 28-day period in which this stat was provided, or 30-day period the stats are provided, you can see 0 sales, 0 orders, but I'm seeing everything in one dashboard. One of the benefits of the dashboard in WordPress is that it gives you at one place. That's the first tip. You want to make sure that when you're managing your site, you can see everything in one place. We do A/B splitting. We have integration with our lead generation system, and I'm going to show you both the benefits and the mistakes here. Here's another site. Here's what happens in WordPress. Here's why I've got a team of people who manage WordPress. We have a subscription that expired because we're migrating off a platform. But again, the dashboard shows you the details. We also have, for that same site, for this last site, SEMRush Site Audit. Okay, now this is the free version. I'm showing you this is what you can get away with just what happens after a trial. And it is beneficial. And I'm going to show you both how we can solve for these problems in our own environment, as well as some of the problems you could solve in a tool like SEMrush. When we use SEMrush for clients, we log in with a different account into the client's platform, and they are using a paid platform. What I'm going to show you in WordPress doesn't replace the paid platform, but with the right market research, the right customer avatars, it certainly makes it easier to maintain your site and get it prepared so that you can benefit from what you get out of SEMrush. Now, here is a site audit from aHrefs. So I have a site audit on 2 different platforms. And again, this is also the free version. I'm checking that real quick. And it has our in-house websites in some sites where a client maybe worked with us in the past, or they decided they didn't want a paid service anymore. And we're just monitoring their sites in generals for errors, warnings, and notices. The key is, again, that these paid platforms like aHrefs and SEMrush deliver much more depth, but many of our clients don't need that all the time. Now, if you're constantly breaking transactions and you're constantly, making sales and your Google Analytics is strong, then these kinds of things are useful. However, you may not want to have a seat for everybody in your office. So that's why we have our dashboard set up in the WordPress site so people can monitor things. This is what a manager might log in and look at. This is what we might think about when we're establishing the workload for our team. Now here we have our Google Analytics being pulled through MonsterInsights. There's no links or affiliate relationships or anything like that. This is the tools that we tend to use for the majority of our clients, whether they're on WordPress using WooCommerce, or they have a information site on WordPress. I'm on WordPress, and their main shopping cart is Shopify. It doesn't matter. Shopify has a dashboard that's very similar. The key is, at a glance, we can tell what's going on, and then it doesn't take too many clicks to find out what needs to be improved. So we chose Monster Insight and AIO SEO. Sometimes clients get Monster Insight and something else. Sometimes they're completely in the Monster Insight umbrella. None of that matters. What matters is that I can sit down here with a lot of insight and a small amount of expertise and quickly figure out what needs to be worked on. So as we go through here, I'm going to show you some things that are done well and some things that identify areas of improvement. And what I normally do when I would go through a site for my own staff, and it is the shoemaker's children have the least value, the least nice shoes. But when I go through the site for my team to come up with what we need to focus on this week, or I'm doing the initial assessment for a client, or we have somebody on the team doing an initial assessment, we go through these steps. So your benefit is that we can quickly figure out where we can apply our resources to get the best results, but avoid some of the common distractions because there's a lot of analytics here. So the first thing I see is that there's one page that, according to AIO SEO, needs improvement. And so we would like to keep that at 0, and we like to definitely make sure that every page has a focus keyword. Now, this isn't magic for SEO, but it's the baseline that is necessary in order to get meaningful results out of a site audit in one of these other tools. So what we're doing on the website when we manage somebody's website is we're making sure the baseline is set up correctly, so that when they get to a more expensive platform, or they're in Looker Studio, or they're looking at Google Analytics, then they are getting something that is meaningful and it is actionable to get results. Now, again, we're in a good place right here where I can show you my stats. I'm not ashamed that we have low stats. And just as a disclosure, these stats are combined across my entire content network. So we have the main site here, which syndicates content from all the other sites. And then, as you can see, what we offer is secondary to the content, because again, we have other marketing systems. We have clients coming in over the telephone, over the fax machine. We have clients coming in other ways. What I'm not going to show you is my CRM system, because my content, we're using HubSpot. It has, who the new leads are. And actually, when I was prepping for this video, I noticed the problem. Every page has, so the contact form on every site is from HubSpot. And I noticed that Monster Insight is not tracking the conversions there. So that's something I put on my little list that needs to be looked at. And I know for a fact from the CRM package that somebody's written their email in here and they've said, hey, look, I need help managing my WordPress site. I need help increasing my conversion rate. And I know those have gone to our CRM system, in which we'll follow up with the phone, or we'd follow up with a message. When I get phone calls on the toll-free line, or I get faxes on the toll-free line, those are not in my analytics. So I'm only able to see one channel here. And then on the back end, we can go in and use hooks to see it in Google Analytics. And then I have to see sometimes in the Google Analytics, we're going to reports, we're going to customer acquisition, user acquisition, and you'll see that the stats that we have in Google Analytics are going to be the same as I get in the main site. So all these sites are put together, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what I just did, but I've seen this recently. This is the URL umbrella referral that tells me I'm getting probably fraudulent traffic. So I did a whole podcast about fake traffic, how to discover it. This is a practical example of that. But you can see we have domains that redirect. We have conversions that are happening. And there you go. See, there's the conversions. Now, I believe these conversions are the conversions that are coming from HubSpot. I will double check that as we go. But I just want to show you that I have, with free tools, can do site audits and can do drill down to determine what's going on, because Google Analytics doesn't cost anything. But if we do it right from the WordPress content management system, we can get a lot better depth that helps us make decisions. So the first thing I want my team to work on is the items that need improvement, because again, that's the baseline that feeds the higher capacity tools. And next, I want to go in and look at the context of the overall sessions. I don't care about page views. I care about unique visitors to a website. If there were dollar sales here, I might have somebody go verify the transactions were fulfilled properly. If I have orders that are awaiting processing, I'd make sure somebody goes and takes care of that. But again, our catalog is not that intensive, and it has some room for improvement, but we don't get a lot of sales through here every day. That just doesn't happen. These are ebooks, and many of our clients are paying us 5 figures for jobs, and they're buying services. But again, we have it here as a demonstration, and so you can see that there's syndicated content on the first page that goes out to the different blogs and the websites that we manage. So here's Prosperity Homestead, which I'm going to show you behind the scenes, and then here is. It looks like this is syndicated on Spreaker, which is one of the channels in which we also manage. So there are like 50 channels out there to manage. And so I don't want 50 consoles to have to look at. I want all my analytics to roll up into one place. I don't know if you've had that problem where you're chasing all these different platforms, Aweber, HubSpot, all these different platforms to try to optimize your performance, and you end up spinning a lot of wheels and not getting a lot of results. This gives me a single look and view. So I'm going to drill down into insights, and we're going to start looking at some specifics that are useful to understand what's going on with the site. And again, I would normally have a pad of paper down in front of me or a notepad opened up on my screen, and I would be jotting down notes about the actions I want staff to take in order to improve the performance of the site. So let's look down here, and we're going to just look for some real quick things here. I notice a lot of traffic from the United States. Traffic from China is suspect. I have had clients in the past in Germany and Canada. Traffic from India, if this was a really high number, I'd wonder about that as well. But again, all in one glance. Over here, my referrals are interesting. I don't do a lot of Facebook promotions, but I do have a lot of referrals from Facebook. That's interesting. I might make a note that says to recycle a campaign and push it out on Facebook, because what I don't see is Twitter, and I don't see LinkedIn in here. So I don't see those at top 10s. I do know that we do Twitter campaigns. I know we do LinkedIn campaigns. So I make a note to check the Twitter campaigns, to check the LinkedIn campaigns. Now, how would I know I'm getting a click from Twitter or LinkedIn? Well, again, and we can see it in this tool, but I can also have somebody drill down into the source medium tags, which we do in code. And so maybe on this next page, we might see something come up there. We've got the aWebers, we got referrals, we've got, all right, so Hello Woofy is something that would reach LinkedIn, Twitter, and other platforms. And so I would go to the Hello Woofy tool if I wanted somebody to drill that down. I also have clicks from my profiles. You can see that my LinkedIn profile is generating visitors, and you can see that my Spreaker profile is generating visitors. Now, the lesson in that is that we want descriptive source medium tags, but we don't need to go drill down this every day because we have a dashboard that gives us an idea. Now, this yolandablog.store, it's useless. I don't know what the hell that is. And then there's a MailChimp campaign here that has 2 refers. Now, this could be 2 or 200 or 2,000. Doesn't matter. That's interesting because I don't use MailChimp. And so if I'm not using MailChimp, I may want to go through the strategic networks that I work with and see who's on MailChimp, and then or drill down into what's going on here and find out who made that referral, because that might be an opportunity for a joint venture campaign. Now, you can also see down here, there's some other domains that are probably questionable. And I do know that Hit Family Farm gets like 0 traffic because we don't promote it. It's just something that's out there. My family has starting up a farm, and so that would be questionable as well. So what I'm showing you here is that no matter how much traffic you have, there is some traffic you need to invalidate. We want to put the invalidated traffic behind us and focus on the ones that get conversions, and in this case, to get referrals. So Facebook and YouTube, I need to make sure that we're putting a little bit of effort behind that because the YouTube is where podcasts syndicate. And then we do have one channel where pretty much every description has a link back, but 11 is better than 0. Of course, you can see that the HubSpot down here. So we don't even, again, it's a dashboard. As a decision maker, as a manager, you don't need to drill down into the stats, but this makes that information available. I'm going to show you something else that's pretty interesting here. We want to look at source medium, and a lot of folks will ask me, well, what if the stats I have in my WordPress or my MonsterInsights or my SEMRush or my aHrefs is different than what I have on my Google Analytics? What do we have to fix? Well, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to fix anything. First off, you have to understand that these stats are relative measures. So for example, this Google Analytics is a 28-day time frame, and this is a 30-day time frame, and we should probably put everything on a 30-day time frame. But I see a source medium here, which is homepage/browser. Now, MonsterInsights claims it gets this data from Google Analytics. And so my number 2 homepage browser source medium is not on the Google list. Now, why is that? Well, while I have the same Google Analytics code on all the websites in my network, and it's all GA4, this MonsterInsight on this WordPress tends to focus the kind of filters a little bit. So I do know that my homepage for all of my browsers is the JWHCO. And I know that in my network, it's typically blocked. So I don't know if you saw that there, but the refresh had an internal tag on it. That internal tag is showing up here in my MonsterInsights. It is not showing up here on the Google Analytics. And so there must have been a session. MonsterInsight captured something that didn't get captured on Google Analytics. Because C64, it should be up here somewhere. But that's okay, because again, we have well-organized tags. And I know that we should just ignore the homepage/browser, because that's someone in the office. That's someone using this site as a homepage in their browser. Do you see how this makes sense? Now, so we have some refinement now of the information, but really all I really care is how many purchases and the revenue. And you can see 0 purchases, 0 revenue, but we have a little bit of attribution here. Attribution is where you can tell where the revenue came from. Because if we were looking at just traffic in general, which is, overview, it's not really useful. It's not as useful. So we can have these dashboards, and a lot of times people will love the dashboard, but this is not useful. But I can make a note that we have a lot of unassigned traffic that we need to clean up. So we have unassigned traffic with engaged sessions. Engaged sessions means something different than unique visitors. It means something different. Every tool seems to put their spin on things. But we do see organic video traffic with a conversion rate, and we do see direct traffic with a conversion. So my action item for someone on staff would be to go look at the descriptions of my YouTube videos. Now I'm stacking information here. I saw YouTube referrals. I want to make sure my descriptions of YouTube videos are properly coded so that the links have the proper UTM code. I want to make sure that any Facebook post goes out with the proper encoding, because I saw referrals from Facebook, but I don't necessarily know which campaign they're from. We can also look at campaigns in general, because everything's coded with a campaign. We should see an internal campaign on here. There you go. There's our internal campaign, 62 clicks. That tells me that it's likely one user or somebody that we know. And ultimately, these other codes have more value. So this code here tells me it's a catalog code. So it tells me what product set we were promoting, what offer we're promoting, and I can see the referrals are pretty good, but I don't see conversion rate on any of these tags. So I want to assume, for one, we aren't doing enough marketing around that tag. Number 2 is that coding might not be correct. And then number 3, that we're not pushing either paid traffic or other traffic. And all those cases are probably true. We don't do a lot of paid traffic in-house. We do that for clients. We do that for long-term management projects. But again, your stats would be different. If you pull the stats up for your site, and if we're managing this for you, and we see 0 purchases and we see 0 revenue, we're going to go ask somebody, have you made any sales via the website? And if they say yes, we're going to start looking at your conversion tracking. is it properly attributed? Is it properly cookied? Are we getting triggers on the analytics? Because it's entirely possible that the site's not doing what it's supposed to do. But again, this gives us a view. Now, these not sets concern me. Look at the number of page sessions for not sets. That might be something I would throw up. Why are we getting all this fake traffic? It's likely this umbrella.com. And so we might make a decision to block these referrals. Do you see how this works, folks? I'm not spending days. All in the length of this podcast or this training session is what I need to get the bullet points for what is necessary to improve the conversion, to improve the results of the website. Now it's tied in the Search Console, which is the Google Search Console. It doesn't tell me anything about the Bing Search Console. It doesn't tell me anything about a lot of other stuff. And in this particular case, we have some keywords that seem to be off-site, because this should be tied to the Search Console specifically for this site. And I don't want to get too distracted here, but we can just real quick verify when you are doing this as an action item, you're not going to go and jump around like I'm doing here. I just want to show you that there is some accuracy in what we're doing, but MonsterInsights is also doing some filtering. So the top 50 Google search terms from the Search Console don't match. And here's the website. See, oh, well, it's 3 months. Let me change the period to the last 30 days. This one only has 28 days. Let me apply it. Let's see what it does. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 items. 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Okay, so my range was off. I like personally to do a 90-day window in the detailed tool and do a short window in my day-to-day management. I can build on these things. And you can see what we do for our own site is not as good as what we do for clients. It's just the nature of the business. Okay, e-commerce. We don't really have a lot to show other than I can see a funnel in here. And if this was an e-commerce site and I saw a lot of people they're just viewing items and they're abandoning them at the view site, then we're going to talk about rewriting the descriptions of items. So in the website here, to be honest, we're so busy with client work. We're so busy that I just throw the products up there. In fact, I got a whole crap load of products that are not even in the system. And then some of our products are buy now from Amazon, because many of my products are already on Amazon. I didn't want to redo the catalog, so I just said buy now from Amazon. Well, that's going to be viewing an item and then an abandonment. See, so we've got to understand how the metrics work. We don't want to go put a lot of time and effort in fixing something that's not broken. So there's a little bit of analysis that goes on there. But I just want to show you that these funnels are pretty comprehensive. The dimensions are actually pretty useful. This tells me about the pages, the posts, where are we triggering a user session. If this is set up correctly, you'll see the member press group and member press product. That's not on this JWHCO site. That's out here at these other sites where we're using member press to manage a subscription service. So the memberships, the courses, the coaching programs that we have. And then down here, we can see the lessons and the courses. So there's the course, there's the lessons. That means 3 people have dived into, in this 28-day period or 30-day period, dived into the lessons of the course. If that was 0, and I know people are out there using the product, then we've got a problem here. And then, of course, this product comes from the WooCommerce. So you're going to know kind of what's going on out there. Now, in a 30-day period, this is extremely low. I'm almost embarrassed by showing it, but ultimately I want you to know that even on a low traffic website, we can have useful stats. Now, post types is another thing I look at, but for some reason, this looks like keywords. But the only thing is I'm concerned about the untags. So I might make a note to go through the posts on the sites and find things that are not tagged properly. And that's easy to do. We come over here to all posts, and then we come over here and look at tags, and we can, but you just kind of scroll through here, and if you don't see any tags, there's only 8 posts here. You could use an SQL query to find out which articles don't have tags, but essentially, oh, there's one right there. This one doesn't have tags. While it is a draft article, we either have to make a decision to publish it or not publish it. And so we would fill out the additional information there. Again, we're going to jump right back to the insights. And what we're looking for is gaps in our understanding of what's going on. Now, for time's sake, we're not going to go through every little thing here, but I did want to show you the forms and how I know that it's not properly tracking the conversion on a contact form. Now, fortunately, we set up parallel measures. So just as Google Analytics can have different stats than Monster Insight on a site because of filters, we know that how many people have opted in through this form and what's the conversion rate on this slash contact, even though it doesn't show up as an event inside of Google Analytics. Now we need to fix this. I need to put that down as something to fix, but you can see 154 impressions on the search form and one person used the search. Now this login tells me there were 169 impressions on the login form and 3 people logged in. That matches the 3 people that used courses. So those people went to a site such as Prosperity Homestead. Now there's a handful of sites out in the network. I don't know which site they went to, but it should never be 0. So they went out to courses. They start looking at courses. They had to log in to get this, and they went into a course. Now, in my office, we block the cookies. We block the Google Analytics. We try to block everything we can so that me showing you going into something doesn't change the stats. So you can notice that I'm logged in. And so our Google tags and analytics ignore people who are logged into the website. And that way, and we do that through Monster Insight, that way I'm not tainting the status. So I can click the program on stop barking dogs, and I can go through and click the home page, and I'm not messing anything up. But again, I don't see, and I don't remember what the prefix is, but I don't see the HubSpot conversions here. And then as the manager, I know there were HubSpot conversions. So we need to look into that because I do want to have my conversion tracking all in one place. Finally, going to be site speed. And this is where we're looking at optimization. We have a score of 72. In order to make that score better, we're going to have to work on the first content paint. We're going to have timed interactive. Now, this is specific to this particular website. If I do the same stat over here, another website, you're going to see a slightly different score. So one thing we train our staff about is to understand the difference between each site and how these tools interact when we're working on a multi-site platform. So for example, if you have a publication that has multiple websites inside of a network, you can use this approach, but we now have to know what matters on each. And it turns out they have the same problems. This one actually has a full content paint problem. And so we're going to go in and start looking at that. So a score of 81 is better. If I was going to prioritize, I'd work on the 72 score before I worked on the 81 score. I might run an audit to go into a little bit more detail. What's great about this setup is that on WordPress with Monster Insights, I can drill down into the specifics of the site, but then in one place, because jwhco.com is the primary site, everything flows to this site. I can actually monitor the whole network at one place. Let's move along to our AIO SEO, like EIEIO. Can you see how valuable this is? See, I'm not hunting around 5 different tools. I'm getting the foundation of the website straight. I'm getting the context of what we're doing straight. I'm understanding what tasks we need to do to improve. If you've got a team of 5 or 500, you'll have a better idea. And I'm not paying a big license for my SEMRush, which can tell us similar things and more. But again, if we're not getting the foundational elements right, then fixing 188 warnings is not really useful, because usually the warnings come from some foundational thing being wrong. The same thing with our aHrefs. Now we're going to get into EIEIO plugin, and we notice that one thing needs improvement. I'm not going to click on that because it'll open the one thing. I'm going to go to SEO Stats. Now, I do not have the elite level here, but if we ran SEO Stats, it would give us details for this specific site that could be improved. It let me do keyword research, keyword rankings, things like that. I don't need that on my own sites, but some clients don't want to pay the $300-400 a month for SEMRush or for aHrefs. And this is, I think it's like $300 a year. And so this will get you started. Again, if you're not doing the fundamentals right, other things will break, and you'll spend all your time on the other things when the root cause is likely, you didn't have 25 targeted keywords over your entire site. You had 50,000 targeted keywords, and you had sprawl, and the search engines don't know exactly what to do with what you got. Now, all-in-one SEO has a dashboard Again, with the concept of dashboarding, we talked about this in other podcasts. We don't have to go 50 places to figure something out. We can go to one place and we can say, what do we need the guys and girls to work on today? And we can go right here. There are 4 important issues that need to look at. We could go to this big site audit and we could pay for everybody to have a seat to this site audit, or pretty much anybody who can log into the WordPress site can come over here and say, click site audit checklist, go to important issues, and work on the 4 important issues that need to be worked on. Now, one of the ongoing performance challenges that I find is our JavaScript, and we don't minify JavaScripts most often because it breaks the scripts. So there are some scripts that'll shrink and some scripts that won't, but the best thing to do is to minimize the number of scripts. By using plugins inside of the WordPress, we are reducing the number of scripts that are necessary to track what's going on. I can actually replace a lot of the webmaster tools with this, which I don't necessarily, but we can reduce the number of webmaster tools and see we have a need to reduce the number of scripts as well. So this sets up an audit. Now, when we're managing our own team, it is possible that nobody on your team has the skills to do a JavaScript audit, and then that's where you farm it out to people like me. So my team will go in there, they'll come in and look at the source, they'll come in and look at page loads, they'll go deep dive into other tools to find the specific script that's hogging up all the resources that's making the page load slowly. We fix these fundamentals here, fix these 4 items, our page loads will increase, our page speed will go faster, everything will move the way it's supposed to. And now there are some technical things that'll let you just go right straight in and fix. You may not want everybody to have access to that, but again, you go to the dashboard, somebody on your team says, hey, we fixed the 4 most important issues that were going on there. You can come back and take a look and see whether or not they're actually fixed because the results are here. And then so I think there's a need here to some images on your page have no alt attributes. All right, so this is coming from the home page, and it's something that we probably should work on. It's coming from these images here. So I have a ticket in with the plugin creator. So this is one of the things that we'll do. If there's enhancements or improvements that are gonna solve some of these problems, we put in a ticket with the company or the plugin that has the opportunity to fix it, and then we don't go custom code. The plugin person can fix these things so that we can have the proper attributes. And in this case, you see how the code's here and the code's here. My ticket for them is to not duplicate the images, but instead to reference the same image if the name of the image hasn't changed, and then to ultimately add this additional metadata so it doesn't come up. But can you see how valuable that is? So you don't have to go and do all that deep dive. You can focus on marketing. You can focus on sales. You can focus on other things. Our technical team will go in there and say, oh, look at that. These are from some kind of sync. It's part of a lazy load. It doesn't have all the proper attributes. Looks like these were scaled down type images. Well, we don't want to have a giant media library with duplicate images. See how these images are coming from different channels and they can be duplicate. So instead of hiring somebody to optimize your image library to reduce the number of duplicate images, because duplicate images can impact your search volume. If somebody's using image search and you got 5 of the same image and they're not properly coded and described and named and everything like that, it will impact a content site. But as far as this home syndication site, doesn't really matter. The bigger problem would be over here on Prosperity Homestead website. And let me just get oriented here, and we're going to go to the dashboard. We're going to do the same thing we did on the other one, and its results will be specific to this site. It says there are 8 important issues to look at. I'm going to check the results. I'm going to see what are the most important issues are. And as you can see here, the issues are fewer in the same way as the other one. So what we're talking about here is you can manage multiple sites, but you have to simplify the tools. Some of the tools don't work the way you might expect them to be, and so you have to understand how they're going to work, and our team's been trained to understand how they work so that you can optimize them appropriately. Some areas you standardize. So all of these sites use the same plugins for their specific activities. All of them have MonsterInsights. All of them have AIO SEO. Now, with our clients, they very often use our license set because we can buy a big, giant, unlimited license, or we can buy, 100 license pack, and it's going to save you a lot of money. So you're going to get our services and the license that saves you a lot of money. We might go in and buy the Elite, for example. Well, we've done this before for clients, but a lot of our clients are mid-sized companies, and they have SEMrush and they have aHrefs. But if we did go in and buy the highest level license, then you'd have additional things like the SEO analysis, and you'd have search statistics and other factors that give you a value add. So while I'm talking, I got lost. There we go. SEO statistics. See, this is an elite level thing. So by managing the website for you or having the same plugins on multiple sites, you can lower your cost per licensing. Now, altogether, we have a few $1,000s in licensing just for what I'm showing you here. But because it gets the foundation straight, it actually improves the quality of our SEMrush or our aHrefs. So let's go in here. You saw the errors. That's Prosperity Homestead right here. Here's the 8 important issues. If we resolve the 8 important issues and these 2 errors, that site quality goes way up. Can you see how important this is? Now, I'm using the free version of this. It's only crawled 100 links. The Prosperity Homestead itself has, we're going to go to the posts here, all posts, has way more than 100 links. It has 187. So we're running out of. So when Google runs through your website, it's only going to run through a certain number of links. When these tools run through, they're only going to run through a certain number of links. Having the local tools gives us an unlimited number of links because it's built into your website. Now we can just fix the few things that break. So we got 404 status. We can drill down to this page. It's registering a newsletter. It says it's 404. We go back to the right tool. We fix it. Do you see how we didn't have to? I come up with a list. I give it to the team fixes it. I don't have to drill down the stuff and fumble around. Your team shouldn't have to drill down and fumble around. Let's look at the audit. This is the same website, and we're in aHrefs, and it tells us that we have this many pages. 23 pages have errors. I'm going to drill down to the 23 pages, and look at that. It has different errors. Again, it all depends on what page it's searched. But once we fix it in one place, you can see here, it fixes it everywhere else. Now, when we do these, actually, I just saw something interesting here. See this? It says Prosperity Homestead /shop. Well, that /shop is in, and there are different challenges managing multiple sites. And we've optimized that. We've done this for years. But you see that in the URL above, that shop is here. So I want to be looking for a broken page link that references a product that should be referenced in the right site. I can fix that without actually going to the page. We'll talk about that some other time. First off, you want to have centralized dashboards. Now, these tools do other things like create the site maps that are used in our, let's go over here, Prosperity Homestead. They get the site maps for the particular websites. We're able to manage that all in one place, and we're able to measure and manage the quality of the pages associated with the sitemap. We're able to tune in to what kinds of sitemaps, what do we want in our sitemaps, how many links do we want in our sitemaps, are we excluding any pages such as the thank you pages, because we don't want people going to the thank you pages and messing up our conversion stats. And then when it comes to conversion stats, are we getting the appropriate conversion measurements? And go into reports, and we can do the same thing here. Now, this e-commerce funnel is not supported on this platform because we don't have WooCommerce. So I'd have to go into the combined e-commerce funnel to see what's contributing to sales there. So none of these systems are ever going to be perfect, but they're going to be useful. And what you also notice is when we do like a source medium, it has all of the combined traffic here. Ad Briefings is another site we manage. Cash Management Secrets is an old site that's been replaced by Sustainable Wealth Secrets. And so the newsletters we have all combined in one place. So we wouldn't be going to the individual sites to look at our overall source and mediums, which is actually a benefit because this is a larger marketing decision where these other things like forms and conversion are an individual site decision. And so you can see there's the login form. This is localized. This is the login form. It's had 169 impressions, 3 conversions, and some of it really refreshes. So it just depends on how it's pulled the data. The key of what we're looking at here is I don't see the HubSpot forms. I know there's been conversions. Every site has the same HubSpot forms because the form, when it converts, I know what site it was on to convert. Like these are aHrefs forms over on the side here. And when they convert, I can see that in aHrefs. But in all in one place, actually aHrefs is not here either. All right, let me just summarize. You could go out and buy expensive tools, but maybe you're not ready for that. But even if you do get the expensive tools and you use them properly, you may not want to have a seat for everybody in your office. However, if you want to feed those tools with accurate information, there are plugins like MonsterInsights and all-in-one SEO that will help make sure the structure of your website is correct. With having your structure of the website correct, we can rely on more accurate recording in Google Analytics, in the SEO tools, and then we can also use these tools together, but every user that uses your WordPress site can at least access the basics so they can check their own work, so that they can work on the segment of work they're supposed to be working on. And then you as a manager or a business owner can sit down and just make a bulleted list. Now you might have a web manager, you might have a content marketer that sits down and comes up with a punch list. The reason we come up with a punch list is because we want to make sure that we're not willy-nilly changing things that impact conversion. If I came over here to publishing page, we're going to go back to the main site. It's just out of habit. And I said traffic. I said landing pages. I want to have a do not touch for the landing pages that have conversions. Okay, so do not touch the newsletter page without us looking into it more. And do not touch any homepage without us looking into it more. And then, of course, if there are purchases or revenue transactions, we would say don't touch those pages. You know, if you see here, how ditches and walking paths help you grow more food. If this was responsible for purchases, then don't touch it. Don't break it. We're going to work on the stuff that needs working on. And so you can actually come in here and sort by conversion rate. The last thing I want to talk about is, again, you get into at a lower price point. So if you set your site up this way, you're going to have a lower price point for the site as far as the integration is concerned. You're going to have the focus on testing rather than the depth of these tools. A lot of people tell me that all this other stuff confuses them, and that's just because they're not trained on the particular tool. This stuff on the side here is very useful. The content marketing helps you get topical ideas. The keywords help you understand keywords. But if your site is broken, then it doesn't matter if you have the very best keywords in the world. It doesn't matter if you're got a 3% conversion for search or a 30% conversion for search. It doesn't help you while you're developing what we should be focusing on to go down and drill down into all these tools. That's for analysis. So I hope this has been useful. I'm Justin Hitt with basically JWH Consolidated. I think this will go out on the Ad Briefings channel as well. And if you want to get better performance from your WordPress website, it matters how you structure the analytics. It matters how you set up your tools. Now, there are relevant tools. These are just the tools that we use, but I find the WordPress, MonsterInsight, all-in-one SEO a really good combination. Now, everything I showed you here today, we do have little PDFs that my team uses when they onboard, so that they can go in and do this stuff. And again, you can have as many users as you want on your WordPress site who can go and see these things, where I think it's like $50 an extra seat per month for these other tools. So you have specialists in these tools that aren't confused by all these little buttons everywhere. And you have the generalists over here on these main tools, because if it's an editor, they really just need to go to the posts that need improvement. They go to the post that needs improvement. They get in that post. They clean it all up. This one probably needs a better title. And then they publish it and they're done. They never left WordPress. They never cost you an extra seat. They just got the work done. See, I like businesses that are boring, easy, and lucrative. That's what we're going for here. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with JWH Consolidated. If you want to find out more about what we do, you want to test my contact page to see if I got that fixed, just come over here and go to contact and then ask your questions. This is how a lot of folks ask us questions. We provide website management. We provide conversion rate optimization. And this has been just a little bit of the entry level. What do we do on the back end? What we might have somebody dedicated to on your particular site as they're identifying opportunities for improvement, and then setting up the baseline, the foundation that makes sure the rest of your site stays functioning. I want to thank you for listening. Visit us at www.jwhco.com